Hello, and welcome to Movies for Authors. This is episode 5. Today we're going to be doing Fruitvale Station. This is a movie that was written and directed by Ryan Coogler, I believe is how you say his name. Forrest Whitaker, who I love, is an actor and a filmmaker. He was also one of the producers. Starring Michael B. Jordan, which you will see in upcoming movies like Fantastic Four, and I think Rocky, or it's called Creed or something, is coming up. So he did a great job. And this movie is about 22-year-old Oscar Grant. And this follows the day of his life. It's New Year's Eve and all the kind of stuff that happens that day, kind of leading up to a very tragic event. It's also his mother's birthday, which kind of adds to this kind of leading up to this tragic event that happens to him kind of early in the morning on New Year's Day. So this was a well-directed and well-acted movie. It was a very interesting way to tell the story, and kind of leading up to the tragedy, creating this tension. It's kind of hard to do biographies, kind of hard to do movies based on real life events, as I've talked about on here before. So this movie did a really good job of just kind of taking kind of a snapshot of his life and leading it up to the moment of, well, you'll see at the end. And this was kind of hard to pick a quote from, because I'm gonna pick this one because it was so heartbreaking. But the movie didn't have exceptional dialogue. It wasn't really written to have exceptional dialogue. Okay, it was kind of written to be this kind of portrait of a guy's life. And so, while the dialogue was good and it had that effect, anyway, I'm gonna pick this quote, and it's by his mother at the end after kind of this tragic event happens, and she says, "I told him to take the train. I told him to catch the BART. I didn't know they were going to hurt my baby. I should have just let him drive. I should have let him drive, but I wanted to keep him safe. You got to let me hug him. Please let me hug him. Please, please." He didn't like to be alone. And so this is a really kind of heart-wrenching scene there towards the end of the movie. And I'm really not trying to give a whole lot away. But if you know anything about the movie, it's kind of from a very controversial but very popular case that happened out there in California. So for authors, what are we going to look at for authors today? Well, what I really want to focus on for just a few seconds here is tension. This movie does a great job introducing tension, because you kind of know what's going to happen. I mean, if you know anything about the story, anything about the event, you kind of know what's going to happen, or anything about the court case and all that stuff that happened. You kind of know the end. All right, so the filmmaker did a good job creating tension in a story where you know the end. And so I really want to focus on that today, because how he did it in this movie was he showed a clip of the event right there at the beginning. So you know what's going to happen, but then as you follow the life, it kind of underlines and highlights how tragic this event really was. And the guy's not perfect, the character's not perfect, but he's really kind of struggling to make himself better, and just kind of makes it that much more tragic as you go. And even normal everyday conversations kind of take on tension in that kind of context where you see what's kind of coming. There's a sense of dread. And this is a little different than conflict. Every story should have conflict too, but tension really moves the story along. There's this tension. It's not exactly conflict, but there's this kind of tension, and in this case it's this sense of dread, like this foreboding, this foreshadowing about what's going to happen. And so for authors, my kind of tip today or this week is to try to create that tension as early as you can in your story. And not just conflict, but tension. It can be a sense of dread or foreshadowing or whatever it might be, but kind of give little hints maybe, or something to kind of create that tension as you tell your story, because it's going to help you move your story along. So as you tell your story and get into characters and show background or whatever is going on, in the back of the reader's mind, there's that tension of what's going to happen, or I know what's going to happen, and how's that going to affect this, and whatever. Okay? So that's my tip for the day, and peace. We'll see you later. Bye.